The United States 1-cent coin, commonly known as the penny, is one of the most collected and talked about coins in American history. From the early Indian head cents to the iconic Lincoln wheat pennies, memorial cents, and modern shield pennies, each design tells a powerful story of American heritage, craftsmanship, and change over time. Picture a tiny piece of copper, just 1 cent from the United States, so small you might overlook it in your pocket. Yet almost every coin collector in the world loves the Lincoln wheat penny, produced from 1909 to 1958. The 1950 version of this coin carries not only the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln but also a legacy that spans decades of American history. Coin identifier. Born in the wake of war. In the year 1950, America was transitioning from the disruptions of World War II into a booming post-war society. The U.S. Mint produced massive quantities of Lincoln cents to meet the needs of everyday commerce, millions of them. That year's pennies were struck in copper, 95% copper with a mix of tin and zinc, giving them the warm red-brown glow collectors adore. Coin identifier. Not all coins are equal. But here's the fascinating part. Even though over 700 million 1950 pennies were made at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, not all of them are worth just 1-cent coins that stayed in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially with original red color, can be worth significant amounts. That's because collectors prize coins with flawless surfaces and original luster, which are extremely rare after 70-plus years. Coin identifier. Mint marks tell a story. Each 1950 penny tells a story through its mint mark or lack of one. If there's no letter under the date, it came from Philadelphia. A D means Denver and an S stands for San Francisco. Of the three, the San Francisco issues have the lowest mintage, making them slightly more collectible to many enthusiasts. Antiques know how +1. The power of condition. Imagine two identical pennies. One has been in circulation, worn smooth by time. The other looks almost new, as if struck yesterday. In numismatics, that's coin collecting. That difference is everything. A 1950 penny in average condition might only be worth $1 or less. But top-graded, uncirculated examples, especially those with original red luster, have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars at auction. Coins value. Proof coins, a special breed. In 1950, the U.S. Mint also produced proof pennies. These weren't meant for circulation but were struck for collectors with sharper details and mirror-like surfaces. Those proof coins are rarer and can be worth far more than normal pennies. Some highly graded proofs have fetched prices approaching $20,000 in collector markets. Antiques know how myth versus reality. Billion-dollar pennies. You might see flashy posts on social media claiming a single 1950 penny will make you a billionaire overnight. Here's the truth. No actual 1950 penny is known to have ever reached millions, let alone billions in value. That kind of myth often circulates with sensational language, but doesn't reflect real auction records. Lincoln wheat penny value. Rare errors, little mistakes, big money. Now, let's get to the exciting stuff. Some 1950 pennies exhibit minting errors, rare mistakes that happen during production. These include coins that are struck off-center, have repunched mint marks, or are even mistakenly struck on the wrong metal planchet. These oddities can be much more valuable than ordinary pennies, sometimes reaching several $1,000s if the error is dramatic and the coin is in great condition. Antiques know how +1. Off-center wonders. An off-center strike is when the coin blank didn't sit perfectly under the press, so part of the design is missing. Some examples of 1950 pennies with dramatic off-center errors have sold for hundreds, and sometimes even over $1,000 because they're rare and visually striking.
Antiques know how.
Repunched mint marks. Repunched mint marks happen when the mint mark is punched more than once in slightly different positions. These create unusual doubling look on the letter and can add collectible value. While most aren't earth-shakingly valuable, strong examples of these varieties certainly command premiums among collectors. Antiques know how. Off-metal strikes, the unexpected treasure. One of the coolest kinds of mint error is a coin struck on the wrong metal, for example, a penny being struck on a dime planchet or vice versa. These errors are extremely rare and can draw serious attention from collectors. While not every off-metal coin is worth a small fortune, some have brought thousands of dollars at auction. Antiques know-how. Why condition and grading matter. Even if you find an error, the condition of the coin dramatically affects its value. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to perfect. MS 70 is flawless. A high-grade error coin can be multiple times more valuable than the same error in a worn, circulated condition. That's why collectors often send valuable pennies to professional grading services before selling. Coin identifier. Historic significance in every coin. Beyond monetary value, coins like the 1950 penny hold historic significance. They are snapshots of a moment in time, a post-war era, minted with care and used in everyday life. That gives them cultural value, too, beyond how much they fetch at auction. Collectors cherish them not just for money, but for the story they tell. CoinValueChecker.com. What could be worth millions? True million-dollar U.S. pennies, like the famous 1943 bronze wheat cent, are incredibly rare exceptions. Perhaps only a few dozen exist. While a 1950 cent hasn't reached that stratosphere, rare coins from other years have, showing how coins can surprise us with their value when mistakes and history collide. The sun. The bottom line, treasure or toast. So, if you've got a 1950 penny in your hand, don't throw it away. It may not make you a billionaire, but in the right condition or with the right error, it might be worth far more than 1 cent. The real magic is in learning what makes each coin special and in exploring the fascinating world of coin collecting. Keep your coins safe, research them, and maybe one day you'll uncover something truly valuable. Coin identifier. Imagine holding in your hand a tiny copper disc, no bigger than a fingernail, but carrying nearly 74 years of American history. That's what a 1952 United States 1-cent coin is, a humble penny born in the post-World War II era when America was rising into global power. Most of these coins were everyday money, the change jingling in pocketbooks, but to collectors, some are much more than that. Rarest.org. The era that made it. The year 1952 was a time of optimism. The war had ended, families were rebuilding, and coins like the 1952 penny were stamped out by the U.S. Mint in massive numbers to fuel everyday commerce. Despite that abundance, certain versions of this coin have stories worth listening to, stories about rarity, preservation, and the magic of chance. Rarest.org. What this coin looks like. On the front of every 1952 penny, you'll see the solemn face of President Abraham Lincoln, a tribute to the 16th leader of the United States. Around his portrait are the words, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," timeless phrases etched into metal. On the back are 2 stalks of wheat framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, a design collectors call the wheat penny. Coino. A coin with many faces. The 1952 penny wasn't made in just one place. It came from 3 different mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S. Each mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins, making them common in everyday use but also interesting to collectors who want all the variations. Rarest.org. Ordinary versus extraordinary. In typical condition, the kind of penny you might find under couch cushions, a 1952 penny is worth slightly more than its face value, maybe a few cents to a couple dollars depending on where. Many have turned up in pocket change and registers across America, showing age, but not dramatic rarity. When condition changes everything. Here's where the story gets exciting. Coins that were never used, that retain their original luster and crisp details, can be worth much more. These coins are called uncirculated or mint state, and because they escaped wear and tear, collectors prize them. A high-grade 1952 penny can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction if every detail and its original color are nearly perfect. Coin trackers. Proofs. Collectors' treasures. The U.S. Mint also made special proof pennies in 1952. These are not everyday change, but carefully struck coins with mirror-like surfaces for collectors. Those proof coins, especially in superb condition, have brought astonishing prices at auction. In one known case, selling for tens of thousands of dollars because collectors compete for the rare and pristine. Rarest.org. Errors, beauty in the mistake. Coins are struck by machines under immense pressure, and sometimes mistakes happen. These mistakes, like coins that were struck off-center, or with doubled images, or with unusual mint errors, can turn a simple penny into something much more desirable. Collectors hunt for these oddities, and rare errors can be worth hundreds or even thousands to the right buyer. Coin trackers. The myth of the $1,000,000 penny. Let's cut to the chase. As thrilling as it sounds, no authenticated 1952 penny has ever sold for millions or made someone a billionaire overnight. That kind of value belongs to extremely rare coins from other years. For example, certain 1943 bronze pennies that slipped through production errors and are now legendary.
Coino.
Auction records that amaze. Still, the 1952 penny can surprise. Records show that pristine specimens in extremely high condition have brought prices like $9,775 or more, especially when they retain their original red copper color and have no blemishes. That's real money for a coin that started life worth just a cent. Rarest.org. The secret is in the details. Collectors don't just look at the date and mint mark. They examine every inch with magnifiers. They check for original color. A brilliant red glow is prized. Sharp details know we're on Lincoln's cheek or the wheat stalks, and the absence of scratches or corrosion. These things can create huge differences in market value. Rarest.org. Trading and grading. Many collectors send their coins to professional graders who assign a number that represents the coin's condition. A coin graded MS 67 or above, near perfect, can be worth several times more than the same coin with the tiniest flaw. That grading helps serious collectors and investors feel confident in what they're buying. Coin trackers. The allure of hidden treasure. Imagine sorting through dusty jars of old coins, eyes scanning dates and mint marks, heart pounding, because you know that even though most 1952 pennies are common change, every once in a while, a rare gem awaits. That thrill is what drives coin collectors around the world. Coin trackers. Not every penny is treasure, but some are. Yes, you can find a 1952 penny worth hundreds or even thousands. But that's extremely rare, and not every penny with that date will be a treasure. Most are worth only a little more than face value unless they are in magnificent condition or show genuine mint errors. U.S. Coins Guide. The bottom line, value and wonder. So if you have a 1952 penny, treasure it, but don't expect it to instantly turn you into a billionaire. Instead, understand that coins tell stories of history, craftsmanship, accidents of production, and the passion of collectors. A 1952 penny might be just a penny, or it might be a rare piece that draws admiration and serious money from someone who recognizes its uniqueness. Rarest.org. Imagine you reach into an old shoebox of coins and pull out a seemingly ordinary penny dated 1956. It's a simple little disc, 1 cent, yet this tiny piece of metal carries the echo of 70 years of history. To most people, it's just a penny. But to coin collectors and treasure hunters, even ordinary pennies can whisper secrets of rarity, value, and the thrill of discovery. In 1956, the United States was in full post-war boom, and the mint churned out millions of 1-cent pieces known to collectors as Lincoln wheat pennies because of the wheat stalks that grace the back of the coin. These coins were meant for everyday commerce, not museum display. Most were used, worn, spent, and forgotten. Lincoln wheat penny. The normal, everyday 1956 penny might not seem like much. In typical circulated condition, the kind you'd find in change at a store, it's generally worth just a few cents. That's because hundreds of millions were made, and most have survived, even if worn. Coin trackers. But there's more to this tiny coin than meets the eye. Coins are like tiny records of their own manufacture. Each one tells a story of the metal it was struck on, the condition it survived in, and even the mistakes made when it was minted. Some 1956 pennies are common. Others, under the right circumstances, become something collectors will pay real money for. Lincoln wheat penny. Most 1956 pennies in uncirculated condition, meaning they've never been used in everyday spending, can be valued up to a few tens of dollars if they retain their bright red original copper color and sharp details. That's already far above face value and enough to make a beginning collector's heart skip a beat. Rarest.org. But let's talk about the truly exciting part: rare specimens and premium examples. There are documented cases where specific 1956 pennies graded at incredibly high condition levels, like MS67 Plus with vibrant red color, have fetched prices in the five-figure range, with some hitting around $57,000 at auction among serious collectors. That kind of sale happens only when a coin is near perfect and highly coveted. Pennyverse. To understand why those high prices exist, you must know that most coins wear and get scratched over time. A coin that remains untouched, with crisp edges and original sheen, defeats time itself. That makes it rare, and rarity drives value. Few 1956 pennies remain in such pristine states, and those that do become stars in the numismatic world. Pennyverse. On top of condition, there are rare varieties and errors that can elevate a coin's value even more. These include subtle variations in mint marks or strange physical quirks caused by slight mistakes in the minting process. Such errors can make a coin much more intriguing to collectors and push its value well beyond typical circulated or mint state coins. Coin Value Checker (CO). Some 1956 pennies have what collectors call repunched mint marks or other anomalies that make them stand out. These aren't everyday pennies anymore. They are coins with stories embedded in their very metal. Collectors pay premiums for these, sometimes thousands of dollars if the error is significant and the coin is in excellent condition. Coinvaluechecker.com. Then there are even more dramatic error coins, like those struck on the wrong metal blank, that are extremely rare and unofficial. Some of these have sold for amounts that sound like treasure finds, but these are extremely unusual occurrences and not representative of the typical 1956 penny. Coleccionistas de monedas. Despite occasional dramatic sales, it's important to be clear about reality. A normal 1956 penny, even in uncirculated condition, does not turn someone into a billionaire overnight. The modern record values for 1956 pennies are strong, but they reach into the tens of thousands, not millions or billions, and only under very specific conditions of rarity and preservation. Pennyverse. The real world of coin collecting is guided by condition, rarity, demand, and verified sales. Even if a 1956 penny is in amazing condition, it rarely breaks six figures unless there is an extraordinary and verified error of immense rarity. Stories of coins being worth millions often circulate online, but most of those are exaggeration or misunderstanding, not real market facts. Coin trackers. The true magic of holding a 1956 penny is in the possibility that you might have one of the rare survivors that escaped wear and time. That's what makes coin collecting fascinating. The dream that a seemingly humble object could be special. The dream is real, even if the most explosive values are rare. Lincoln Wheat Penny. If you believe you have an extraordinary specimen, one with vibrant color, perfect strike, or unusual features, getting it examined by a professional coin grader is essential. These experts can authenticate condition and verify any rare characteristics that could boost its value into serious territory. That's how collectors ensure they're not selling a treasure too cheaply. Pennyverse. So treat your 1956 penny with respect. It may be just 1 cent in everyday use, but in the quiet world of numismatics, it carries history and potential. While it might not literally make you a billionaire overnight, the right 1956 penny, pristine, rare, and recognized, could absolutely be worth enough to change someone's fortune. Pennyverse.